People spend such a great portion of their lives generating and creating success by their definition. So maybe it's in the form of building a successful business. Maybe you've had a high profile role in a company where you've been a decision maker and a leader, and you know what it means to create success. Maybe you're entrepreneurial in nature and you've created many different opportunities, and you've been in the process of accumulation for a lot of years of your life. So what happens is that successful people, they get to a point and there becomes a fork in the road where essentially the ultra successful people go one way and the successful yet maybe complacent or less fulfilled kind of go the other. So what is that separation and what is that delineation? So there's 5 key things that happen, or areas of focus, I should say, that the ultra successful people tend to hone in on. So I am Brittany Anderson. I am founder and partner at Sweet Financial Partners out of Southern Minnesota. And we've had the great fortune of working with a lot of very successful people who have generated so many opportunities for themselves, for their families, and for many generations to come. So one of the common trends that we've seen is that when you're looking at a very successful individual, somebody who continues to just add even more value in this world, to cultivate even more opportunity, and to really lean into what a fulfilled life looks like, there's 5 key areas that they are focused on. One of which being their wealth. Now, this can be defined in many different ways. Typically, what happens is they don't look at money in the same way that your average person might. They look at it as a door for opportunity or a window for opportunity. They're looking for different creative strategies, for trusted advisors to be in their lives so they can essentially delegate that aspect of their life and in turn focus on the things that create fulfillment and opportunity and abundance for them. They're looking for creative strategies. They're looking for new innovative ways of handling their money and different investment vehicles that may create additional opportunities for them in the future. So wealth is obviously a big component because you've spent years accumulating. You want to hold on to that and in turn make it work for you too. So the second pillar here is the ultra successful. And again, you think about this fork in the road. There's many, many successful people, and success by their own definition. One person might see success being creating multiple entities, multiple businesses, and, fostering new opportunities and hiring a bunch of people and creating possibility for them. And another person might look at success as, being with the same company for 30, 40 plus years and, being in that high level position and working their way up and being a leader or a visionary for the company. So again, it doesn't matter what you define success as, but there becomes this point where a focus on purpose becomes front of mind. So that's the second of the 5 aspects that we see ultra successful people focusing on, is that they're looking at redefining their identity, at redefining their purpose. They understand that what got them here may not get them there. So instead of being tied to who you were, who the person was that got you to this point, who you've been in the past, they're looking forward saying, what's my purpose now? What's the opportunity that I'm fostering now? How am I going to show up for my family, for my friends, for my colleagues? How am I showing up for the people that I serve? So there's this different mindset shift that happens where they go from, hey, I know who I was up to this point. Maybe I was an employee, maybe I was the business owner, maybe I was the entrepreneur, and I had this thing that I woke up to every single day. Well, they understand that instead of just losing that identity and retiring per se, they're instead shifting into a new focus and looking at how they can serve in a different capacity and how they can show up in this life. So if you think about first 2 characteristics, wealth, then you have purpose. This third leg is something that probably isn't talked about enough, but is really the foundation for making anything else possible. And that is a focus on health. and not just your basic, going to the doctor and getting a checkup every year, but really looking at how can you prolong your life? How can you maybe reverse the aging process, and not in a woo-woo kind of high level way, but really tapping into resources that maybe not everybody even knows exists. So it's looking at longevity. It's looking at, how you want to feel in the later years of your life. I don't know that anybody really wants to go to the path of, okay, well, my body's starting to ache a little more. And, over time I might have to walk with a cane, and then I might have to go to a wheelchair, and, then I'm just kind of there and I exist. I don't think anybody wants that path. They want to feel strong, and they want to feel good, and they want to be able-bodied and able-minded. One thing that we often hear is that nobody wants to be a burden to their family. Nobody wants to get to that point where they feel like they're, draining, or, a heavy burden, and no other way to put it. So looking at resources in the health and longevity space is a major focus for the ultra successful people that we've encountered and worked with over the years. Again, if you don't have your health, you don't have much of anything else. If you're not able-bodied, all these years that you've spent accumulating opportunity, building your wealth, creating a plan for your future, it's really hard to do that stuff if you are not able-bodied, if you're not able-minded. So that's a major, major area of focus, especially for people that are looking at, not wanting to just sit on their couch for the rest of their years, that are looking at experiences and want to show up for their family and really participate in the things that motivate them and get them excited, and create fulfillment for their future. So going into the fourth pillar that we see in dealing with the ultra successful people, and that's legacy. Now, they have a different framework for how they look at legacy. It's not necessarily just making sure you have a buttoned up estate plan in place, but they're looking at participating in their legacy. So what that means is that they're looking at crafting opportunities to actually participate and share and, foster a culture per se for the generations to come. It's having this vision for what you want not only to be remembered by, because that's often what people think of when they think of the term legacy, but more so looking at what are the characteristics that you want carried down into the next generation and the generation after that, and so forth. What's the story around money? How do you want it used? How do you want it to be to operate for you? What are the charitable or philanthropic things that you're looking at that really drive you, that you want to continue to contribute to? So one example of this could be, we actually know that many people have desire to create some sort of foundation. So some foundation to support a cause that's meaningful to them. Now, how impactful is it? And I'll use the example of Brian Sweet, our founder at Sweet Financial Partners. He in particular, he was raised by a single mom. And he, really appreciated the fact that she sacrificed over the years, and that, she gave her all to raise him all on her own with no support, with no help. He had some other very, very dear family members that did step in, but ultimately it was his mom. So what he decided was to create a foundation in her name while she was still alive, while she was here to experience it, to give scholarships to kids that come from broken homes, kids that come from, a single mom household that may not have had opportunities to maybe go to the college they want, or, could use extra help with the funding or whatever the case is. So he created this foundation, and together, in the early stages, his mom was able to participate and meet these kids and go to lunch and, experience and see what this impact was that they created together. So again, legacy is looked at in a different way. It's looked at as, how can I participate in what I want carried on? How can I participate in that right now? It's a different frame of mind, a different thought process than, again, just having the right life insurance, estate plan, or whatever in place. You can also look at this too as, oftentimes we'll see multi-generational businesses where you have, maybe year one or first founder, they'll then pass it to the second heir, which then passes it to the third. And there's differences in mindset and growth opportunities. And if done right, you can actually have each generation foster even more opportunities for the business, as long as you have those underlying core values that are shared and continued. You'll see people coming to the table and bringing fresh, new, innovative ideas as it passes hands, but holding true to the core values of what the family unit stands for. So that's why legacy is such a big thing that we see these highly successful, highly fulfilled individuals focusing on, because they understand that it's more than just some papers. It's more than just documents and I's dotted and T's crossed. So the final of the 5 components that we see people focusing on who have achieved great success, who are then creating a life of even more success, is a focus on experiences. And what that means is that it doesn't necessarily just have to be a quick, fun trip or a bucket list trip. They're really looking at fostering truly memorable, exciting experiences. Think about it this way. As you've gone through the years, you might have had a vacation booked at one point in time, something that you're like, oh my gosh, it makes, getting up and plugging away every day a little bit easier because I know I have this to look forward to. This is something that people, and again, you're thinking about somebody who has generated success. They already know what that looks like. They have built wealth. They've created a healthy nest egg. They are, at a point where they have complete control and complete freedom of decision. They're not making decisions based on needing to accumulate anymore, basically. So instead of saying, oh, well, the best years were behind me, the ultra successful people are looking ahead saying, the best years are absolutely ahead of me. And here's the different things that I'm fostering and opening the door to create excitement for that future. So experiences can be things like, great travel, or, a 5-star type experience that maybe you've never decided to take part in. It can also be something as simple as, being intentional with who you're spending your time with. So maybe you're looking at, you've worked for years and years and years. You maybe missed out on some opportunities with your children and you were busy working, you were head down, you were building a business, but now you've got grandkids. And you have the freedom of time now to really create a deep connection with them. So maybe it's just being intentional about carving out time for each of them individually. It can be something as crazy as you've always been an adrenaline junkie and you're looking at how you can dive with the sharks or sing on stage with your favorite singer. What people don't realize is there are entities out there. There are businesses out there that are built solely around making this kind of thing happen. And if you don't know it exists, then it's kind of hard to take action on it. So these are things that, again, when you're separating, you're looking at that line in the sand. You're looking at where people who have accumulated success, they have built themselves up to a certain point where the path either starts to go down or the path starts to go up. The ultra successful are focused on the upside. They're focused on looking at, what opportunities can I cultivate for my future? A lot of times when people don't focus on these 5 components, that's where they start to lose their sense of purpose. They might have an identity shift where they think about, wow, I used to matter. People used to pick up the phone for me. People used to, look to me for advice or guidance, and I'm not getting those calls anymore. And all of a sudden, your sense of purpose goes out the door and your identity starts to get a little bit dark because who you were is perceived to be better than who you are. And that's a scary trap to fall into. So again, to summarize, when you think about people who have created massive success and continue to build even more success for their future, again, success by so many different definitions, a lot of it boils down to fulfillment, to pure happiness, to freedom of time, attention, and energy. The 5 things they're focusing on are their wealth. They got to have that foundation of support. They're looking at their purpose. They're honed in on health and longevity. They are absolutely embracing the new thoughts around legacy, and they are capitalizing on experiences. So all that being said, if you want to look at how you can cultivate more experiences, be intentional for your future, go ahead and visit mysweetfinancial.com. There you will find resources to help you think through your future, to help you really get clarity around what retirement years might look like to you. And again, that's a term that is just not a beautiful one, because really it's a reshaping of where you want to spend your time and your energy, of what you want kind of the last third of your life to really look like. Make it meaningful, make it purposeful, make it intentional. And that's what fosters fulfillment and ultimate success.